Spiderhead was directed by Joseph Kosinski and stars Chris Hemsworth, Miles Teller, and Jurnee Smollett, and takes place in a high-tech facility where a bunch of inmates are being tested with a bunch of drugs and all kinds of pharmaceutical medicines, and essentially their behavioral patterns are being looked into. But as things get weirder and weirder from the person who is testing them, played by Hemsworth, one of the patients, played by Teller, starts to catch on the act, and he's starting to get a little concerned about where this could go. Obviously, Joseph Kosinski is a really big name at the moment thanks to Top Gun Maverick. That movie is shattering records across the globe. And so going into Spiderhead less than a month after that movie's release was very exciting for a lot of people, including myself. I couldn't wait to see what he'd cooked up. And as I said in the review for Maverick, he's a director I'm always gonna go to, war for. Like, he's fantastic in terms of the vision that he brings to the table. If it's not totally flawless, that's one thing, but I respect the directorial approach that he has to things. With Spiderhead, I feel like it's one of his lesser efforts, though, but make no mistake, I still thought it was fairly decent. Like, I still liked the movie for the most part. I do, however, think it's not one of his best movies. Like, if I had to do a marathon of Kosinski's movies to date, and you asked me what's the one I was least excited to see, I guess, I would have probably said it was this one. I know that sounds bad, but it's not bad at all. There's a lot of great things in this movie. For one, the concept itself is really interesting. And the way they're working around that is kind of fascinating, especially the system that they're using to make these pharmaceutical drugs essentially work, and the emotions that are being conveyed as a result of that. It leads to some pretty great performances, and I really liked all of the things that they brought to the table as a result of that. Speaking of those performances, I think Chris Hemsworth in this is honestly giving a career best performance. I know that sounds really funny to say, but he's having such a great time in this movie. He's just absolutely over the top, really crazy villain, and it's very subtle at times, and sometimes it's a bit over the top, but it's exactly what the performance commands. And as you watch the movie, it'll make more sense as to what I'm exactly referring to. Miles Teller is also really, really good in this movie. He has some really great scenes and really works along well with the disintegrating insanity which is within Hemsworth. And Jurnee Smollett is acting off of the both of them in some sequences because she's seems to be in check, but there could be something that is just about triggering everything to go to hell. And all three leads are really great. The direction is really good. I think Kosinski, again, proves that he is really good when it comes to directing his actors. The camera work is really great as well. There's some really great shots. That has not faltered even once in his filmmaking, and that continues to remain the case with Spiderhead, which is a great thing to take away from this movie. Is like, this guy definitely knows how to make good things up on the screen. The problem is that Spiderhead's storytelling gets a little too thinly stretched. And after a while, the concepts that it's tackling, they become a little more predictable in how they're telling that story and how they're going to be used with the characters. And so when things eventually start to get more twisted and things are unraveled, it just became kind of predictable. Like, there's a point in this movie where you get a big reveal, and it's like supposed to be this big one, like, oh, here's what's going on, but it's something that if you're watching the movie you can kind of see coming from like 10 miles away. And I guess the intent is to put you in the mind of the character who is figuring stuff out, like, hey, this is what's happening, but they're in this moment where obviously for them this is a big moment, but we're like, yeah, we knew. So I don't really know who the suspense is for. And like I said, it does get stretched a little too thin. There are points where it seems like it's really dragged out, especially during the second act, which really feels a bit baggy in comparison to the first and third acts. But like I said, overall, I can still say I had a decent time with it. I mean, there are still great merits to be taken from it. There's a score by Joseph Trapanese, which is really, really great. Great soundtrack choices, too. Some use of songs is really good. I don't think Kosinski's missed even once, honestly, when it comes to the musical factor of his movies. Even Only the Brave, a very devastating, sorrow-filled movie, has a really great score. He knows how to use music, and he knows how to use it well. which is another credit that I have to give him as a director. He definitely knows when the needle drops are supposed to happen and in what capacity. So all of those things, if you're a big fan of his work, those are going to come through. Like I said, it's really just the storytelling. That could have been a lot better. It's definitely lacking in some areas. In some areas, it just feels like way too drawn out. But would I recommend seeing this movie? Yeah, for the most part, I would. I think there are things that you will still like in it. And if nothing else, just watch it for Hemsworth going absolutely crazy. Like, this is a really, really solid performance. Make no mistake about that. I'm gonna give Spiderhead a 7 out of 10. Still a fairly solid movie, like I said. Still really good. It's my least favorite of his, maybe, but even his least favorite, honestly, is a movie that I can say is not too bad. And that's talent right there, if you ask me. Like, I'm not sure what everyone's gonna think. I'm sure some people are really not gonna like this movie, and that's totally fine. I think, like I said, if you're a fan of this director and if you've liked the stuff that he's done, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be on board with some of this and would enjoy watching it for the most part, like I did. So there are small and even in some cases big victories to be had from this movie. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the movies.